For the ladies to parade in their crinoline. I've got some friends, but I had a real moment in there. Now the other story, and a lovely cherry and vanilla. That's my challenge for the next few months. I can feel midges, I can feel things biting me. And absolutely pitch black. Welcome to our channel. We are Kath, Sue, Archie and Fudge, and we are well into our second year of full-time van life. We love exploring the UK and sharing the little gems we find, choosing where we stay to suit our love of the outdoors and making the most of our retirement together. Well, good morning and welcome back. Now we're at a CL site called Dark Orchard, which is right on the edge of Hay-on-Wye. Now we haven't been into Hay-on-Wye just yet. We've had a quiet few days, but we have done a riverside walk. So Peter, our host at the CL site, has directed us to this walk along the river, and it's called the Bailey Walk. Apparently it was constructed by either a Miss or Mrs. Bailey, who lived at Hay Castle, and it was for the ladies to parade in their crinoline on a Sunday after going to church. What a lovely story. Apparently crinoline these days is not essential, which is actually just as well, because I didn't bring my crinoline. And apparently all along this trail there are wooden carvings of animals, so when they get children staying at the site they set them a little competition and off they go trying to identify all the different carvings. We're heading back now on the other path, the top path, which is the disused railway track. As you can see, both of them are very shaded by the trees, so it is a good walk for the dogs, particularly in this heat. Although, what are we? We're 6:15 in the afternoon now, so we're worse in theory the hotter part of the day, but you know what we've got with this balmy weather at the moment? It's still really warm. Now today we're going to go for a stroll into Hay-on-Wye, and Hay-on-Wye is known for its number of bookshops. Now I don't know why that is, hopefully we'll find out today, but also there's a castle, and the castle, I'm told, is dog friendly. Now they're allowed in the ground floor and the cafe, but not right up to the top of the castle. However, I'm going to try to get to the top of the castle because apparently the view from up there is spectacular. So anyway, why don't you come with us? And come into Hay-on-Wye and there's the town clock. All directions given according to the town clock. Here you go, one of the bookshops. This looks like once upon a time it was an old market, the kind of centre of town. What it looks like to me anyway. There's a blue sign up there. The Hay Butter Market. Now we're inside the butter market. Is the town hall. We're heading down this little cute alley with more independent little shops. I've noticed there seem to be quite a lot of antique shops. little cafes, and of course, bookshops. £5, that's a bit more like it, isn't it? Well, this is the entrance to Hay Castle. So I've been advised to start here because there's a film which is apparently starting in 14, 13, 12 seconds. There's a little window which you can see out behind me. I'll even be able to see Sue and the dogs out of that window because they're waiting outside for me. That animation was brilliant, by the way. It's like This Castle Through the Ages, all by animation, no words at all. Well, a couple of names were in there. And I have learned that Richard Booth, I think he's the guy who brought books to Hay. He certainly opened a bookshop, and I must have been the mayor, the way he was dressed in the animation. But if you ever get a chance to come here, it's absolutely genius, that animation. And anyone could understand it, well, as far as you can, because there's no story with it, but it's clearly depicting this castle through the ages. Let's see if we can see Sue. There they are, sitting on a deck chair. Oh, some jiggery old steps here. And there's me stupidly wearing my flip-flops. Don't actually go much further than here, but of course you can get a view of that room that I've just been in. And I'm now at the top of the castle on the viewing platform. And what a view. So overcoming my newfound fear of heights, I'm standing not too far from the edge of the view platform, and you get a fantastic view over the town of Hay, which you can see behind me. I've got some friends. Look. And behind me you can see the exhibition room, where you can learn stuff about the castle. There we go, exiting the castle. You look like one of those ladies. You should be wearing your crinoline in your deck chair. Now, our host Peter told me to look this place out, Richard Booth's bookshop. So Richard Booth was a guy who wanted to put Hay on the map as the world's first book town, and that was his bookshop. Now apparently there's some tiles in there, some of which are still the originals, but the lady who bought this bookshop, who's an American lady, actually restored them. So let's go and have a look. So Peter also told me I should look up. Well, I hope you enjoyed the visit to the castle as much as I did. Now today's another day and I'm off to visit another thing that Peter recommended, and that is the local church, because apparently there are a couple of artifacts in there with some really interesting stories. Let's go. Had it all to myself, and I'm not like overly religious or anything. I probably haven't been to church for years, and I do the classic, you know, weddings, births, funerals, but I had a real moment in there, and hopefully I got the two artifacts that I talked about earlier. So the stories, that beautiful organ. Now that organ was apparently destined to be all smashed up, but the vicar of this church is some organ scholar, and he asked if he could have it for St Mary's Church here. So it was agreed he could have it, but he had to raise the money to effectively make good the area in the church that it came out of, and obviously transport it here and have it put in here. And apparently that was about £170,000. So he and I'm guessing parishioners here managed to raise that money, and now it's been preserved and is in this church here. Now the other story, now these are all Peter's stories, so not validated, but he's lived here all his life, so they sounded pretty convincing to me. So the other thing is the carving, the sculpture of Mary. And apparently, I don't know whether it needed repair. I can't remember from the story or whether he said it or not, but he had to be transported to Monmouth, which I'm guessing is quite away from here. And it was transported by river in a boat all the way to Monmouth, and then came back by road, and now it's back here in the church where it belongs again. I think those are just really interesting stories, and really nice to get those from a local who's lived here all his life and knows this area. Now I found this funny, quirky little trail. I had no intention of coming here. I was heading back, in fact heading back for an ice cream first, and then I've come across this. It was signposted Swan's Well, but I suspect you could probably drink from that water, and I'm guessing in the past people would have drunk from that water. Well, the path doesn't go much further. It goes across this little footbridge, which is over the tiniest trickle of water, and tiny at the moment, but we have had a lot of dry weather. And then comes up this little path, which I think just leads me back onto the main road again. How weird. Well, success. I found the ice cream parlour, shepherd's parlour, and a lovely cherry and vanilla. Well, good morning everyone. So yesterday we left Hay-on-Wye and we moved on to this new campsite, which is really peaceful, the DOLAUCOTHI campsite. Now we're not far from some gold mines, so over the next few days whilst we're here, hopefully we'll get a chance to explore those mines. Now, this morning Sue's gone out for a run without Fudge, and the reason for that is she's on her training plan now, ready for the Great North Run in September. Sue's a runner, as you know, and this will be the first time she's competed for a couple of years now, or at least a couple of years. She's running for Dementia UK, so hopefully we'll raise a little bit of money for charity, and she'll enjoy it anyway. But she will never just do it for the enjoyment. She's got to do a training plan because she will want a time that's acceptable to her. So this is the estate walk, and actually it is just off the back of the campsite. So although I've walked around the road, there's a gate just there, and you can actually walk directly from the campsite onto this footpath. Now I think I've passed where you can get down to the river just behind me, but I'm just going to walk a little bit further this way in case there's something I miss, and clearly I'm not going too far because I've got Archie with me. Because we're so shaded where we are at the moment, I'm not worried about the heat. In the sun actually it was still, even though it's early in the morning, it's not long past 8 o'clock, and it still felt quite hot in the sun already, but it's still cool in the shade of the trees. I can feel midges, I can feel things biting me, and they love me. I don't know what it is about me, but Sue very, very rarely gets bitten, and they absolutely go crazy for me. You alright, Fudge? This is an exciting walk for you then, isn't it? You take a rock and you leave a rock, and it's free to use. Well, I really am just a few minutes from the site now, and this has been a lovely shady walk for first thing in the morning. You can probably hear the river in the background. There's always something quite romantic, isn't there, about a river in the background, particularly when it really is the only thing you can hear, apart from my voice. I'm spoiling it. I'm going to have to shut up. Just a little update. So I'm off now to see the DOLAUCOTHI mines. It's a solo trip, not suitable for the dogs. And Sue's not bothered about things like this, so she's staying back at the shack with the dogs, and I'm off to get my hard hat. Well, I've arrived for the start of the trip, and we're just waiting now to receive our safety equipment. Well, I had a great mining experience and finished off with an ice cream. Sadly, you weren't allowed to film in the mine. I'm not sure it would have made any difference anyway, because it was really dark in there and absolutely pitch black when we all turned our lights off. So I'm not sure filming would have done it justice. Tried to take a few photographs. Not sure how they'll all turn out, but I would definitely recommend a visit here. The best thing about this is if you stay on the campsite that we're staying on, you actually get free entry to the mine. And I made a little donation as well. I'm surprised he's not running away, given his fear of cows. Well, good morning, folks. So Sue, I was going to say Sue and I, Fudge and I are off for a walk. Sue's already been out for a run. She's in her training plan today. Was a hill session, so she didn't take Fudge with her, which means I've been out with Archie and Fudge for a short stroll, and then Fudge and I are doing this longer one now. Well, it's so peaceful here. The path in places isn't easy to see, because it's quite overgrown. My shorts are soaking now because of the rain overnight, and all the shrubbery is soaking wet. I've got my coat on, and I'm glad I've got my coat on, because although it's definitely not cold, it's still a bit mizzly, if that's, I don't know if that's a word, I've made it up, it's mizzly. It fits what the weather's like, but we're walking through some woodlands that are on the opposite side of the river now from where the caravan site is, and I haven't seen another soul yet. I mean, it's just, listen. There was a tractor in the field. It's stopped now, I can't hear it, and it was muck spreading through the very field I had to walk through. That was nice. All part of being in the country, isn't it? So Fudge is on a lead now, because we're headed through a field of sheep, and I've had to take my coat off because I'm all hot and sweaty. So this is quite hard going, not because it's hard walking, but I'm being very cautious because I can't see where my feet are, and these ferns are, well, in places they're virtually head height. Whoop. This section of the route that I'm on at the moment is apparently where there used to be an old railway, which was built in the early 20th century to carry timber from further up the valley. And it was in use apparently till about 1940, when it was then dismantled. The other thing I've read is there's lots of forestry work going on around here, and they're not called the Forestry Commission anymore, but whoever they are in Wales, it might be Forestry Wales. They're trying to rid the area of all the conifers, which are the predominant trees here at the moment, and then replant native trees native to this area. So somewhere around 50 years from now, this should be restored to what it once was, which should be really nice. Okay, so we are a little bit lost now. We've certainly lost the red signs, but thanks to the fact that I downloaded a map, because there's no signal here, but I downloaded, so I've got an offline version of OS Maps on my phone at the moment, and it also, even though there's no phone signal, it still is able to pinpoint me as to where I am. So it should be, once we get to the top of this, a relatively straightforward hike back home. Well, we're nearly home, nearly back at base, and it's been a lovely walk. We managed to find where we were. I say we, Fudge was absolutely no help whatsoever, but we're nearly back now. So, well, I hope you've enjoyed this walk as much as I have. Probably not quite as much as I have, because you're not here, but if you fancied coming, then this is a good walk. Well, I have something exciting that's happening right now. Sue and I are off to, I keep calling it a fete or a festival. Sue thinks it's just a hog roast. It's a community hog roast, and because we're in the community now, we're going to go. So we'll see what this is all about. I'm really looking forward to it. Well, sadly, we weren't able to stay at the community hog roast, and it looked like it was going to be a bit of fun. It's clearly for locals, but it's held in an area which is predominantly an area set aside for children playing, and therefore they have a blanket, no dogs. So we said hi, we said bye, and we made our way back here. And I think that's where we'll end this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, and we'll see you next time. Baby, don't you